What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another segment of HR Heretics. Today, we're going to talk about tucking in your top performers. So, Kelly, I learned about this when I was at DoorDash. We had a very specific way of thinking about the highest performing employees in the organization. I think it's important to decipher what this means. This is not the top 10%. This is the top 1%. And so before I get into this, that means 99% of people do not fall into this category. And I've experienced it as 99% of people think they actually are a top performer. But I want to talk about it today because we're in a moment right now to where the world is changing really fast. And I feel like these people are the actual people who run companies. And yet founders and C-level execs are forgetting that. So here's what happened today. So I talked to Steve, who's the CEO of Gem. And one of the things that he told me in our conversation, he goes, what we're seeing for the last 2 years is offer accept data is way up. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting data point. And then the next thing that happened is I was talking to a finance exec yesterday, and he's got an offer from a very large tech company. And he's like, the comp is not interesting. It's super low. And I've actually now heard that from 3 people over the course of the last week or so. So that's an interesting data point. And then one of my friends who had worked with me prior, who certainly is a top performer, she felt like she was getting slighted by her boss as they were doing her performance review. So just in general, let's talk about the top 1% here, Kelly. How have you thought about tucking these people in and making sure that they stay? Because I've experienced these are the people who actually run companies.
Yeah, this is nothing new. 20% of the talent or whatnot carries the company. Do you know what I mean? The impact that top group has in a company is extraordinary. And I don't think we look at them maybe close enough, but you're talking about the 1%. I'd be curious to know how they felt slighted in the review. But I'd like to start with, I think people will be surprised how many of the top percent do not get told that they are the top percent. Sure. It's the simplest thing to say, do you know that you are one of the most valued people in this company?
And how much does that cost, Kelly?
Priceless.
Free.
Free.
That is free.
And it's true. Honestly, I made that mistake early on. And people are like, whoa, yeah, you don't want people to get entitled. No, fuck that. They're not getting entitled. But I think it's the simplest thing you can do is tell someone that they are in that echelon, Nolan. Because most top people I know that have left organizations recently, and I'm talking in that last 2-3 years, or have been thinking about leaving that organization, is not monetary. It's because they don't feel appreciated.
Yep. Okay. So that's thing one for sure. So it's such a good point, Kelly, which is hey, actually just be a human is the first thing, and tell people how much they mean to you in the company. That actually goes farther than comp in my experience. What else beyond that?
Look, I think comp is a big one.
Yeah.
You don't want to be caught in that. It's the comp side is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Meaning, let's just say you're giving someone a ton of money and a ton of equity, but if they don't feel appreciated qualitatively or kind of full being there and, appreciated as a human, they're probably going to look elsewhere, right? So it's you have to figure out how to beat that out, so to speak. And the other side of it, if you're telling them they're wonderful, what do we call it? You're giving them all the, qualitative rewards and all the verbal showers of love, but not putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
That's a problem too. And you see that sometimes with a lot of earlier stage talent, maybe. I was one of these. I still remember at Intuit. It was top, you're the best, you're the top. And I was so underpaid. They're going to go at some point. So I think you have to figure out how to balance those two things, if that makes sense.
So here's the thing that my friend told me. She was like, look, I keep getting all the verbal praise, but then the thing that pisses me off is I have to fight for every penny of my compensation, and I still feel like it's not enough. And so she's like, one of the things that I learned working with you is you just proactively have these conversations and make these decisions. And I feel like, so the easiest thing to do is tell people. And then the second easiest thing to do is to remove compensation from their mind as something they should have to think about. And for me, like the harmony of those two things is what makes somebody feel like truly valued. So here's an example. When we were running Continuum, what we did for our top performers, which is, I mean, we tried to have it be the entire team, so everyone operated this way, is I had a framework for comp, if they leave for $1 more, will I lose sleep at night? And so I would go all the way to the top of that band and be like, this is it. This is as much as I can pay you. If you leave for $1 more, I'm going to be okay with it. And I would tell people that, like, this is my framework for how to pay you. That's obviously like a small company thing to do, but it does scale when we're talking about the top 1%. And what this person was telling me when she was voicing her frustration was this level of questioning the relationship and the level of, she started to not believe her boss. Because her boss was like, oh, like you're the best and you're a top performer. And she's like, well, we haven't had a comp conversation in 14 months. And then he's like, well, what do you think you should get paid? And she's like, well, why do I have to come up with that? Like, why can't I just focus on the shit that's growing the company that I like always do, that you tell me I'm doing a great job at, and like you solve this problem? And so they got into this tiff, and she called me and she's like, honestly, this like really pissed me off. And now I'm questioning like everything this person's ever said to me. And I don't know if I can actually believe them. And so I think if you're in the decision of like, if you're a decision maker for compensation, one of the easiest things to do is truly with that top 1%, like the people we cannot lose, the central points of failure, the people who are running the business fully autonomously, that we're like, oh my God, if we lose this person, we are fucked.
Yeah.
Proactively do it. And it's like, every time I've had one of those conversations, Kelly, for me, it's always been like, thank you so much. And then I never have to worry about it at night if they're going to take a LinkedIn message from another company.
Yeah. The transparency around that is really important.
Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
I must admit, I used to believe that AI didn't actually exist in recruiting or HR. That is until my friend Heather Doche, who leads talent at Signalfire, told me to check out Metaview. I got into the product and was like, wow, AI actually does exist in recruiting, and this product is sick. Metaview is the world's #1 AI scribe built specifically for recruiting. Their AI records and transcribes hiring conversations, like intakes, interviews, and debriefs, then provides perfectly summarized notes of everything that was discussed. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes everything. With perfect notes from every conversation, your people can focus on creating a human connection with candidates, and they can save time on the busy work of cleaning up notes after every interview. But it's so much more than just a time saver, because perfect notes means perfect data. For every candidate and every pipeline, hiring teams can make confident, informed decisions, and talent leaders can finally take control of the interview process. Metaview covers all your compliance needs, works with all your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at organizations like Brex, Deal, HelloFresh, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts. Tell them that me and Kelly sent you. Or you could just go to their website and get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI enabled in minutes.
So with my top people for a really long time now, like it's 4 things. It's appreciative. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're one of the best. You're having incredible, don't lie to them, obviously, be genuine, but make them feel special. Second is be thoughtful, right? Do you appreciate and know me as a person? We talk about things like handwritten notes, or if they have a spouse that likes golf, right? Do they go away on a week, send them a weekend getaway, something that's personalized and thoughtful. Third is proactive, like you just said, on not having to feel like you're fighting for something that should just be there. And an example of this, like if you have someone in this top echelon and you're going back and forth over like 5 or 8K, just stop it. Like, please stop it and give them the increase, because you're going to make 10x on that from this person. It's incredible, the nickel and diming that I see.
It really
with these
is.
people. And I'm like, why? We just spent 20K with our salaries talking about this. It's crazy. So I just, a nickel and dime approach to these people does nothing but backfire, and overpaying and just doing the right thing, first of all, helps, again, make and save money. Second, it's proactive. So again, the best way to put a sour taste in these people's mouths is to make them feel like they have to fight for increases or fight for, competitiveness. And like I said, the last one is transparency. To your point about, hey, you're great, we'll do that. No, what is it? To your point on continuum, here's where the range is. Here's what I'm doing. Here's why. Here's the equity range. Here's what I'm trying to do. Even if it's like a 1-year plan, like transparency of process, of your intent, it again makes them feel in a genuine way, it's trustworthy. Like you're not hiding anything. You're not pulling any punches. You're a team and you're trusting them with maturity, of course, and they're trusting you. And when you have like appreciation, proactivity, thoughtfulness, and transparency, why would you want to go anywhere else? I guess.
Totally. It's so well said on the transparency piece, Kelly. Like these people expect to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And they don't know. Nobody knows, right? Like outside of the people who are actually making comp decisions, like it turns out like nobody knows, and every company does it differently. And so again, you don't have to, stand up and give like the entire formula to the company. But you should tell people like, hey, here's where normal people are at your level, and here's where you are. And how we got there was like, I went to bat and I laid in front of the train tracks and I was like, we better pay this person the most we possibly can. Like that really fucking matters. The last piece I'll add to your framework, which I really like, this is more of a me thing. We've talked about this in the past, but especially for the top performers, I want to be involved in their career forever. And so what that means is like an open dialogue between us, such that I'm saying you're like one of the most important people in the company. I need you here, but I am not going to hold you here with handcuffs. And if and when you start to think about leaving, you come to me first and I will open my network and I will help you. But my ask is that you do not blindside me, because it's bad for the business and bad for like how I can operate on a daily basis. And candidly, like as your manager, bad for my mental health.
Right. And those 4 areas we just talked about, Nolan, I've experienced as a leader and a manager giving that to someone, and I've experienced it as an employee. Yeah. You do nothing but give so much transparency back. You give grace. There's loyalty where they would never screw you over. And you literally know at least 6 months before they leave that they're going to leave.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's like all behavior ends up being reciprocated for the most part, is what I've experienced. And so if you treat people this way, they tend to, like in kind, treat you the same way back on the things that really matter to you.
For sure. And odds are they'll come back and work with you again someday.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually the long game, right? Like I love that too, because like that is the longer game at play here. Everyone is playing this like short game right now. That's a segment for another day. So I'm sure Kelly and I missed some things as part of our framework here. Please let us know, like in the comments, like what else you do to tuck in your top performers and how you treat these people insanely special.
Thanks all.
Thanks all.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.